able to join us today. I'm Jessica with Rabbit's Pantry, and today I am so excited. We have Abbie with us, and she's from Abbie Tarot. She's been doing this for years. She has, not only does she do regular card readings, but she also is a card dealer. And the best way I can explain that is she is very vivacious about her practice and fell in love with cards, which I'm sure you'll share more with us. But she also is like an antique dealer with cards, where she will go and find decks for you, or she'll find decks that need new homes, and she'll get them to the people they need to. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you so that you can talk more about yourself, and then I'm going to ask you some more questions.
Yeah, feel free. So like my dear sweet person said, my name is Abbie from Abbie Tarot. I can be found all over social media by Abbie Tarot. I'm also on Etsy at Abbie Tarot Market. So yeah, I am a card slinger. I'm also a tarot practitioner. As well as, like you had mentioned, a dealer, you know. So when you say dealer, I think of the person with the trench coat, like showing the slot of cards. Of the things underneath, like, I got your Rider-Waite Smith. What do you need? What do you need? So it sometimes feels that way, but it's actually like a wonderful little hobby that turned into an actual practice, an actual business, and I've been enjoying it. And so exactly like you said, I look through my Facebook community, my online eBay community, and I see people who are getting rid of collections of cards. And so what I do is I make bulk offers on these collections of cards, bring them and I clear them all, I sort them all, and then I present them in this stellar new way, and then I find them in the home. So it's just this perpetual moving of cards in and out of the house. And for me, the greatest thing is that like I'm having a hard time keeping up with demand. So it's like cards are leaving faster than I can get them up. And it's a great problem to have, but it's like, dang it, I gotta keep up. So
Right?
it's fun to do though. But yeah, like 10 just came in. I have 19 coming in the next couple days. I have another pack of 22 boxes of cards. So it's just, it gets to hang out and then goes right back out.
That's awesome.
In addition to doing that, I do read tarot full time. I work from a problem solving perspective. So I end up working with specific questions to get specific answers instead of kind of doing the high level esoteric overview of something or just getting the emotional read of something. I actually want to give you a little more black and white. So if you have like, how do I do X, Y, Z? I want to do like, all right, step 1, step 2, step 3, all right, and go. And of course it's up to the person as to like how much they actually do step 1, step 2, and step 3. But I tend to work so often from a practical point of view when it comes to tarot. So I know that's like what makes my practice a little bit different is that practical end to it, but also my style is pretty fast. I mean, I read for you, what was it, right before the last day of the, and
Yes.
you and I were talking, and it's just like the faster you gave me questions, the faster I was pulling answers for you. And it's just, that's my process. I love kind of like rapid fire. The faster I work, I feel like the better my work is. And I do a weekly live stream on my Facebook page where I'm just reading for my community and I read for my audience. And towards the end of it, I do these 1-card flash readings that are super fast. Like the whole point is to get as many people in as the last 10 minutes of the show as possible. And it's 1 card after another, me high energy, trying to get it directly to, because the connection feels better when it's that fast. So it's just, yeah, just keep up and then deal cards.
That's awesome. So tell me this, because there's obviously like so many card readers, right? Like a lot of us in our industry, it's not, I don't want to say it's flooded, well, except mine, like the tea, like that's seriously like a flooded market.
Yeah.
But you know, like sitting there looking at it and have a journey, but when you were deciding like I'm going to turn this into something, what was your why that made you go, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna do this, like I still, you know, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, my why overall has been the same regardless if it was design, if it was tarot, if it was other corporate market. My thing was I wanted to live a life that was on my own terms. Hell and high water, it was my own terms. That's what I wanted. And as I was transitioning out of my last creative director job, I was in this weird space of I don't know, it was just this weird limbo with that particular role. And I started to realize or remember that I was not living my life on my own terms. I had allowed myself to be dictated by this boss who didn't want to be in her own business. So I was having a hardship with that. I was having like emotional like issues surrounding it. So I got into tarot as a method to kind of save my sanity while I was waiting for this stuff to work itself out. It ended up then being, you know, when you find something that works and it just kind of lights you up in this way that you can't really explain, but the light bulbs are on and you like things are singing and there's hallelujah going on in the background somewhere, like, you know, it's there. But it was like, the more I did it, the more I practiced, the more I read for others, the more it just like, oh yeah, this is my own terms. This is what it means to be on my own terms because I get to control this practice. This practice is not subjective to another person's opinion, emotional drama, life story, whatever is going on, her own psychological profile or whoever is, this is just mine. What I decide I'm going to allow myself to do, what I allow myself to get involved with. So this was the epitome of living my life on my own terms, that's always been the goal, or at least since I've been able to voice it, that has been the goal. So yeah.
It's like just controlling your own destiny and being able to live the life you want.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard relationship with the term destiny because I'm on this balancing act of like, yes, destiny, yes, choice. I live fully in choice. And so sometimes I have to bring in a little room for grace or a little room for destiny or a little room for that. And my Aries in me is kind of like, I want to control everything. So I try to leave room for that. But yeah, it's just following my natural inclinations has never led me wrong so long as I listen to them. It's when I don't listen to them that I get smacked in the face and it hurts like hell. But leaning into my natural inclinations, leaning into my intuition, and then this showing up, it was just a perfect fit. It's like everything lined up. And I couldn't not do it. Everything was showing up for me to do it. Like everything was lining up for me to do it. So like literally my wife a couple of days ago was talking about, you should do a podcast. I'm like, look what you just brought to my table the other day. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing this now.
Oh, you should see what I did. I finally went to bed at 4 this morning. I love this.
The same thing started with even reading publicly in general. I resisted the doing it publicly, doing it professionally, doing it for others. I resisted that for a while until it was just kind of like, you can't do anything but do this. So we're going to remove your job. We're going to remove this issue. We're going to have the person that you care for most give you permission to do it. And guess what? You're doing it now. Like,
isn't that funny?
I'm doing this. And you jump into that fire. And that's what this is.
Jumped or kind of got a good shove. But jumped is very proactive of you.
I do think sometimes I get tripped into these little fires that I get into, but it's all willing. It's just sometimes I didn't know what I was jumping into, but it's all. Right.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So, I hear you, and I hear that. I mean, your motivation is so true. I mean, for so many people, especially with the demands of society and just all these challenges of kind of coming in and just being like, no, this is my book and I'm writing it, right? Mm-hmm. But when you do go independent, as you have, and as you continue to grow in your business, what is the thing that like just drives you and like makes you just leap out of bed in the morning and you're just excited because you're like, this is my dream and I'm living it, and this is like, tell us about that.
I am a perpetual learner. Like that is my life blood, is the continued like input of information, knowledge, and growth. Like for me, if you do not grow, you die. Like 1 + 1 = 2. You don't do one, you don't get the other. So for me, it's continual input of information and knowledge. So I love learning, and I love learning more about tarot. I was looking for a book just then. I was like, where's my books at? But I love like inputting this information. Like if I could learn by osmosis or eating the book, like whatever I need to do, I need it in my brain. I still
have a visual of you doing that right now. Like, this is mine.
Yes, exactly. Just the input and the ingestion, because I want to do more. I want to continually do better. I want to continue to evolve and elevate my skill set and continue to grow, not only as a reader, but as a mother, as a wife, as a woman. I want to continue to be the biggest version that I've ever had of myself. So it's just, that's the perpetual drive that gets me up, is now I have another day to input more information. Now I have another day to learn more knowledge. I have more time to spend doing something that makes me exceedingly happy. It's you don't need a vacation when you love the stuff that you're doing. You don't need a day off when you enjoy what you do so much. I actually have a hard time giving myself like weekends or days off. Like, we don't know what a weekend is in this house. Like, we just don't. And so we actually have to like carve out time, and it's short time at that. So it's like my wife and I, we still make time for dates. Even like in this pandemic, we do little living room dates, but we have to carve out that time. And we both know, like, you're going back to work, I'm going back to my desk. And then we work that out. Or if we want to go and do a weekend, we have to carve that time out and then kind of fiercely protect it, because business has its way of kind of overtaking things that you don't partition out specifically.
Well, especially when you're doing it from like that fire, right? When you're just so driven, it's your passion, it is who you are in your life. It evolves and changes. So the funny thing is some of that kind of ties into what we were talking about like, especially like the subject of the week, right?
Yeah.
And how we've gone through this transition over these weeks of like, what the F, to, oh my gosh, I got to figure this out. And what's going on with me? I'm a freaking wreck. And then, oh, okay. So like, as we've gone through that, do you want to speak to that and then maybe go from there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my experience of everything, of course, is unique to me, and I don't imagine that it's typical, but I also imagine there's a lot of people like me at the same time. Like at first, like when everything was starting to get wonky, a little weird, that's when my freak out happened. And it was brief. It was just like a couple days of like, oh shit, you know, and you get really nervous and like, what's going to happen? What does this mean? Do I have to go Walking Dead style on everything? Like, what do I need to do? And then it settled down. Life was like, okay, I just need to prep and prepare and then listen and watch and look and listen, but not like overreact, because everything else was reacting for me. I didn't need to add to it.
Sure.
It helped me remember what's really important to me, which is of course my family, my direct, like my son, my wife, these people that are most important to me, making sure they're okay, making sure they feel safe, making sure that we're all taken care of. And we are fortunate, I feel, that our both of our businesses aren't dependent on other outside resources. So it's like our business, my wife is a reseller. She, similarly to me, where she sources, or where I source cards, she sources vintage electronics and a plethora of other things that she sells on eBay, on Mercari, on Poshmark, on a million other platforms. So it's like that business is actually kind of growing and experiencing a little explosion, because everyone is in front of their phones. Everyone is on their desktop right now getting, you know, the shoes for the kid that has outgrown their whatevers. Like, now you have this time to search the internet and search these platforms while you're trying to take care of your family. So it's like we're fortunate in that way. Tarot, for me, surprisingly enough, I find that business-wise, my business is increasing as well, probably for the same reason, but also that I find people like anything that helps them feel better. So it's like, if you can provide an answer, or if you can provide a solution, if you can solve a problem for them, or even give them the hope that a problem can be solved, people are sold and come right on in, it seems. So I feel like tarot, in a way, is a method of self-discovery that can probably offer solutions. And so it's like these cards are continuing to move, even with, you know, pandemic 101 going on over here. But we are fortunate we've not been directly impacted by any of it. The family on all of my extended ends are safe, happy, and healthy. My family in here is safe, happy, and healthy. We're just grateful and keeping our fingers crossed that it stays that way. Right?
No kidding. I know. I actually love working from home. I have been so happy. It was always a challenge for me, and is a challenge for me, to not work from home. But I just have like everything I need right here. and I don't have to go at anyone else's pace because I'm like just constant high energy little rabbit running around. And now I'm like, I got books here, I got multiple laptops, I got everything I need. And somebody just like magically my husband will bring in food and I'm like, yeah, thanks. I didn't
I know.
And so it's like fantastic. I'm like, I love working at home. This is great.
I've been fortunate. I'd been working the last 5 years of my professional life from home. Like I was a home-based designer, so I was already used to that routine. When
Right.
I hopped in tarot, I made this my practice online, with the exception of the 1 day a week over at Pantry, being available for face-to-face work. And then my wife's business is home-based as well. So for us, it feels like business as usual, but I do try to have like a warm heart for people whose life has just been completely upheaved. It's like,
Right.
I've heard about the people who had like 4 or 5 family members drop because of the virus. And I've heard, stories about like, my job is gone now, or the industry surrounding my job is forever changed. I don't know if there will be work for me moving forward. And it's just like, I want to have compassion, but I also don't want to stop being freaking happy that things are going well. So it's a mixed bag on this side anyway, of like, oh, that business is great. Oh shit, I'm sorry that it's been so hard for you, but business is great for me. So,
Right. I think that's such a good valid point, because you've got this interesting, I'm totally going to derail because you totally just spoke to something that I'm like, yes. I've heard this from quite a few people where, we're in businesses where we're here to help others.
yeah.
And the challenge with that is you hear the stories, right? And you have to make a decision of how you own that, how you process that, how you don't own it, how, whatever it is you're going to consume that with and process with. It's so different. And when you do, obviously, like us being in wellness, we're just like so inundated right now. People asking for questions and answers. And I don't know how many times a day I'm like, oh, mix these herbs here. I'm just going to ship you this, try that. Like, because I just want to help, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thrilled because I feel like what I've been doing for a while is now like, sweet, everyone's doing me. This is great. Because I'm just like, this is how I normally function.
Yeah.
But then understanding that that's just so raw for so many other people. And I was kind of reflecting on this last night when I was doing my writing. The process I went through was very blunt force as well, because mine had to do with my diseases. And so it wasn't by choice. I was very much a very active corporate person like you were. And it was just shocking to my reality. And so I really, when I was writing last night, realized, or I guess it was this morning, but whatever.
Counting.
Realize that connection is probably the experience I'm going through right now. And then just being like, wow, that was so raw and disruptive. And life-changing makes it sound glamorous, and it wasn't. There were multiple moments of me breaking down, wondering what I was even here for. And then coming out of that, though, reinventing this new life I have that came out of just pure heart and soul, the most powerful thing I could have done. And that's what I just want people to be able to do that. There are so many people that before this happened were already speaking their truth and living their truth. Right. It's great. Like watching people like you and many others that it's like, no. I found that already because this happened in my life, and I had a disruption that I pivoted on. And now there's just so many more masses that are recognizing they want change and they don't know what it is.
It's unfortunate that we need a catalyst like this to have that change or to like spawn it. But I've always been the proponent that like the moment that we surrender, when we like let go of resistance and stop trying to force things, is when shifts can actually occur. And so, it sounds like from your story, you kind of have that like, okay moment. Like you just like, whatever this is, not so much the fatalist portion of it. Like we're not saying exit stage left, but we're saying like, all right, I obviously don't know what I'm doing. Fuck it. Let's see what happens. Excuse my French. But even like for me, me trying to do design over and over and over, getting nowhere. And I was presenting my best self. I was doing everything I knew how. I was finding resources. I was finding mentors. I was doing everything right. And it wasn't until I just literally just threw up the hands and kind of surrendered to whatever process was going to be happening, did like the upheaval occur. And then it was transformative in that deeply wonderful, nerve-wracking, oh goodness, this is going to work kind of way. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay, so that being said, I actually had reached out to the people that are online, and I was like, hey, what do you guys want? And this is the conversation. So
Okay.
you do, let me find your comment. I hit the wrong button. This is totally me, thank God. You guys are just like awesome winging it with me. I'm so not a professional with some of these things. I'm like learning.
No worries.
Yeah, thanks. But one of the things that they asked was with this, there's a couple of people that have made comments about the spiritual awakening, right? And one person in particular on here asked, like, what they don't know what it is. They have no idea what it is they're supposed to be doing, but she knows she needs change.
Yes.
So would you mind doing like a quick reading for us? And maybe hopefully, Monica, this can answer your question. And then, kudos to all the rest of you who are commenting. Oh, look at you. Actually, there was a delay on my Facebook. And yeah, there's a couple. So let's start there.
Oh, fun. Okay, yeah, totally. Let's start with the person that just presented that first question, because I understand that point of view and that perspective of like, I don't know what's wrong, but I know something is, and I need to do something about it. It's that perpetual state of like discomfort where you're like the pain what is the expression? It's like a poem or something where it's like the pain it is to stay the same is worse than the pain it takes to grow. Like that's your catalyst for change. Yeah, let's totally peek into, do you have her name?
Monica.
Okay, let's see if we can hop into Monica. And I can always feel when I'm kind of tuning in because I get these little tinglies on my arms and I start getting goosebumpies. So it's like, yay, I'm right where I need to be. Monica, what's going on with Miss Monica? When was she? See, the hardship when it comes to finding your path, your direction, and this is just from an Abbie perspective. So again, the caveat is if it doesn't resonate for you, like leave it away, don't worry about it. But this is just intuitively from this side of the table. When it comes to path or comes to the right way of doing anything, I find that when we have that expectation, we're perpetually letting ourselves down because we're constantly looking for, are we on it or are we not? I feel like path or being on the right path is more of a decision, and it's a choice of, am I going to line up with what I actually want for myself? Not so much the preordained, you have been gifted with such and such, now here, go do, but more of like, okay, I've chosen that I want to do this, so am I lining up and doing that? So for her, let's see if we can kind of give her a roadmap to see if we can give her a signpost. So like, you're kind of sniffing in the right direction or you're way stage left. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the Light Seers Tarot. Have you seen this set before?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, yes, actually I have.
Good. Yes. It's a fun one. All right.
And I were using it this morning.
Okay, let me show you. So I'm pulling 6 cards for her, and I'm feeling kind of like the energy around her. I'm feeling for what's going on for her, and then the rest is just going to come as we go. But to show you how I practice, the first card that I have for her is Temperance, along with the Death card, and Justice. So for me, this is speaking directly to this like expectation that she has for herself of getting something right, getting it right, whatever it is. And that's part of it, is that she doesn't know what it is. That's the question mark, but she wants to get it right. The first thing for her that I would suggest, or the invitation for her that I would suggest, is actually just let go of the expectations, let go of the programming that she's been given by her family, by her peers, by her community. Like, let go of the programming or the messages that's coming from her, and then look internally for whatever her natural inclination is, whatever it is that she already is leaning towards, whatever it is that she's being pulled to. That's probably going to be closer to what her path actually would be. But as of right now,
she's like, yep.
The other cards that I had for her was the Nine of Wands, along with the Ten of Wands, and the Tower. So my second invitation to her is that life doesn't have to beat her under the rug. Like, life doesn't have to be so hard for her to make the decision that I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, you don't have to have the catastrophic, that's the word I'm going for. You don't have to have the complete catastrophe of a moment to decide, as of right now, I'm moving forward in the best way that I see fit, and come hell or high water, because I am hell and high water, I'm going to go do this. Like, you don't have to have a tower moment, like this whole lightning bolt situation, this whole apocalypse kind of thing. She doesn't have to do that before she can decide, right now, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm going to do me, and then move on. So as to what it is, that question, I've not been comfortable in telling someone your path is veterinary medicine. Like, I've never been comfortable in doing that. What I am comfortable in saying to her is that she is the only one that can tell herself exactly what her path is or what her work should be. And it's going to be listening to her natural inclinations. It's going to be listening to her own intuition. And if she's having a hard time tuning into it, journaling is a great way of going about it. I've used a method one time of standing in front of a mirror with a dry erase marker and kind of like rage journaling on the mirror. And it was like a conversation with myself at the same time of writing. And I was able to get like really clear answers that way. Sometimes it's big scribbles with a Sharpie on some paper, whatever you need to do to kind of get that just movement so you can connect to yourself a little bit more clearly, and then not second guess it. Because that's the thing, we get these wonderful intuitive hits and then we're like, oh, that was just my imagination. Like, why? Your imagination is also an intuitive conduit. Why not listen to it? So she will know what to do when it shows up for her. She won't need someone like us to kind of tell her, yes, veterinary medicine, yes, a nurse, yes, holistic medicine of such and such XYZ. So she'll get it.
Would you say that some of it could be too, there's just, and I'm saying this because now I'm a little bit transitioning. By the way, great idea. That's what she said. And your cards are beautiful, along with Chelsea. It's a conversation. But I'm also seeing a couple other comments in here, people with like, and I wonder if some of it could be, there's so many options when you're in your own head. And I know, unfortunate, but also something that I do love about myself is I have a bazillion ideas. And I am that, you know, that quote from Alice in Wonderland of like, I had all these ideas before breakfast, because that's true. I wake up and I'm like, oh, I gotta get all these out, you know, but then deciphering which ones you need to do.
Yeah.
So one of the exercises I do to narrow down, to your point, like, oh, that's rubbish, or what have you, and now I've got these 3, and these are the 3 I'm taking action on today, is I write them on Post-its and I stick them up, and then what I do is, like, as I marinate on it and I'm sipping my tea and probably like a couple hours into my morning, I'm like, nope, and then I end up with them, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's the path right now.
Yeah. I mean, you're following your natural inclination. You're following your intuition on that. Exactly. I'm similar, where I have a lot of ideas, but I get fearful that I might lose the idea. So I have journal upon journal upon journal. I have an app on my phone that logs all this stuff. So I have methods, or I've developed methods that I can log the idea, because it may be perfect tomorrow. It may be perfect next month. It may not be perfect right now, and I may need to do something else right now, but I at least want to hold on to that idea, because it may be freaking wonderful. I just can't act on it right yet, or I don't have the resource, but I at least want to hold on to that idea, because for me, as a designer, I've been taught and raised that ideas aren't precious. There are more of them. They are coming all the time. Even if you lose one, you will have another one, or someone's stealing an idea. Well, if you're the source of the idea, you're going to get more, and that person will have to come back to you to get the idea. And by then you'll put in processes in place to prevent that person from taking said idea. But there's always more. There's always more ideas coming. There's always more, especially when it comes to ideas. I just don't want to lose them. So I have journals upon journals upon journals of ideas.
Yeah. Well, I know we're kind of getting close to the end of our time here. And we did have several people say that they would like to have a reading, or they had questions, or they have the same path and they're kind of wondering, what your website is avtarot.com.
avtarotreading.com.
Okay. And folks, we'll put this in the comments so that you can go find her. And then and then your Etsy for if anyone, because some of these folks are also readers. So where can they go to get decks?
Yeah, I have the Etsy store. It's called AV Tarot Market, and it's A as in Apple, V as in Victor. They're my initials. The word tarot and then market, all one word, and put that into Etsy, and it's the only one that shows up for me, and it's a new and used tarot market, so it'll be super easy to find. But I post to that platform every day. So there's always cards leaving, there's always cards coming in. So I'm posting at least 5 new sets of cards or tarot related products every day. I do have a few crystals on there. I'm kind of on the fence about keeping crystals as part of like the repertoire, because I do think crystals and tarot go hand in hand, but you know, c'est la vie. But I do also just recently put up a lot of books. So a lot of learning, a lot of guidebooks, because sometimes we get these new sets of cards, but they don't come with a companion guidebook so that you can learn more out of them. So I'm loading those up as well. But every day it's a new listing, and every day stuff is going out. So the inventory is always shifting. But yeah, so when it comes to booking work with me, I have three methods of how to work with me. My first primary, and the one that's most popular with people, is doing face-to-face video work. So either by Zoom or Facebook video messenger, we can schedule a 30 or a 60-minute timeline to have a reading, and it's more led by the customer or the client, and they tell me their questions and I read for answers. So it's led by their questions and I'm finding answers for them. I can also do the same process via Facebook chat or another chat platform if they so choose. That is, I just take the pictures and I send the pictures to them, and then I'm typing as furiously and fast as I can to get the answers that they're going for. There's a little more misspellings in that one because I'm not worried about backspacing. I'm just making sure we get the answers that we're looking for. And then the last one that's actually my favorite is the emailed readings, because being a designer, I also know graphic design. So I design these PDFs that are emailed directly to the client so that their cards are explained, the tools that I used are explained, the questions that I asked, because this is led by me. So they present me the topic, I present all the questions to get them the answer, and then a solution, and then the next steps moving forward. So it's not just, here is said question, here is said answer, here's an invitation for your next plan. So they have something to move forward with and also to refer back to. But those are the 3 primary methods that people choose to work with me. And 9 times out of 10, I can make other arrangements. If you're like, I want 45 minutes, can we do 45? You know, I'm more than fine with making an arrangement if need be.
I was actually going to mention that, and the fact that you're pretty dynamic and flexible. And I say that because, like, when I was actually working, when you ended up doing mine, and it was very funny because you were in one of our rooms, and as I walked by, I heard the conversation, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, this is about me. So yeah, what did you find out? Because my husband was in there chatting with you because he was like, he came by every day after work. But then what was funny is other people just kind of kept coming in, and then it became like this group reading where we were like, well, what is she doing with that? And how does that affect this? And everyone's asking all these questions about me, and I'm like, that's a good one. Yeah, what's the answer?
I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like so dynamic, and it was, you're very flexible, and you just go with it, and that, which I thought was pretty cool. And you were very patient while we processed the information that was coming, because there was all these other people hearing your message differently. And I'm like, oh no, I heard this. And he's like, I heard that. And she's like, I heard this. And we're like, what do you?
But what I meant was.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way of it. I like having a sense of flexibility because you never know what's going to happen. Some of the best things surprise and delight you when you don't have the expectations of what things are going to be. With that said, I am very clear about my boundaries. I know exactly where my lines are, and I don't budge on my lines. I just have a wide berth before we get to those lines. Yeah. And so just part of being a parent, I think, is that it's like, no, we have boundaries. Like, stay in here, little grasshopper, or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. I love what you're doing. I love the passion that you bring with your craft. And anyone that is interested, obviously you can go to her website or her Etsy. She's very flexible in connecting, and I highly, highly encourage reaching out because the conversation becomes very engaging. And just like she was saying, like, yeah, you might be looking for your what now. And yeah, she might not point out you're supposed to be a veterinarian, but at the same time, it might be like, let's narrow it down, and she can give you the right questions to ask yourself so that you can go, I had that idea. I just didn't realize that that might be the one. And so
Yeah.
getting that guidance sometimes is all we need. And hopefully this week, after we've been talking about connecting with our one and getting our purpose and kind of going forward, and now it's time to collect these tools and start putting some action to all this stuff we've been absorbing. Hopefully you can all find it. Thank you so much for being here, Abby. I really, really appreciate it. And I just love what you're doing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, everyone.